I'm going to now rip through, just kind of summarize that early week 2 waiver wire. Who are some guys to look for in your leagues? Start prioritizing on the early waiver wire. So just to summarize, some of the big injuries were JK Dobbins, the torn Achilles, Deontay Johnson with the hamstring. So we know Dobbins' season's done. Deontay's didn't look pretty. I'm guessing that's going to be a multi-week thing. Richardson is going to be fine after leaving with a knee bruise. So ultimately, it sounds like he'll be okay. Just got a little dinged up. And then Aaron Jones' hamstring looked a little bit concerning there. He kind of went right off into the locker room. No official word quite yet. Those are some injuries to monitor while we move forward. So how will that impact the waiver wire? Well, of course, the Ravens backfield is where you want to look first. Justice Hill, only 2% rostered in Yahoo. Gus Edwards, 19% rostered. I had to go one or the other. So it normally would have been Gus. He has the track record. He's honestly, over 5 yards per carry throughout his career. He's been one of the more efficient guys whenever he gets to work. He looked like the better runner today. I like that he has all that going for him, and it was a pretty near even split in the touches, but we did see Justice Hill get almost all the third down work, nearly all the goal line work, and all preseason was Justice Hill is a better fit for this Tonkin on. That's why we're keeping him out. That's why he's going to be the primary backup. I really like what I saw out of Justice Hill as well with those two scores. So if it's one or the other, I'm going to go to Justice Hill first. 2% rostered. I think he's probably worth 30, 25, 30% of the fab. You do have to keep in mind, what if they go after Jonathan Taylor at this point? Bring in an aging veteran or something of that nature is an option as well. So you could go blow all your money on this backfield, which I do think will be about a 50-50 split. I think that's going to be valuable. It's the Ravens offense. They look pretty solid. I think they're only going to continue to ascend here, but they aren't the most valuable pickup in my opinion. I actually would rather spend my money on Kyren Williams. Got hype all preseason as the clear-cut third down back, and we saw that playing the majority of third down snaps here, playing a lot of the goal line work as well. And Akers, we know the injury history is a bit sketchy. You got the Achilles tear just a few years ago, and it looked like Kyren Williams a little bit more preferred by this coaching staff, certainly in the first half there. Once they got the lead, they started to pound Akers. He ended up dominating second half touches, but Kyren Williams had 26 of the 30 running back snaps in that first half. So when game script's more neutral or they're playing from behind, I think Kyren Williams will have a much clearer and defined role than either of those Ravens running backs on any given week. And an offense that seemed to feature the running backs a little bit more than them. So I actually think I prioritize here Kyren Williams about, again, maybe $25 of my 100 fab. I don't know that you'll have to go to that level. I have, by the way, a more in-depth waiver wire show every Tuesday. So this is just a quick look at it. I'll go more in depth, look at the snaps a little bit more, see what happens tonight and in Monday night as well to have a full, complete list. It's just a rapid reaction for you sickos that want it right now. I think Josh Kelly has to be considered one of the top guys on your waiver wire, 4% rush. That's a nice thing about this early waiver wire is most of these guys are still out there in your leagues. And he had 19, match the same amount of carries there as Austin Eckler, as we talked about earlier. 16 carries, going for 94 yards, clearly involved. It was almost a 50-50 split. Certainly the rushing workload and snap share is about 60-40 for that game. So that was definitely intriguing to see a shootout style game. Imagine if they get up early on a team, we might even see more work for Josh Kelly. So looking really solid, over 5 yards a pop. Eckler did his thing. It wasn't like he needed to come out, but Kelly just constantly churning and churning and churning. Looking really solid doing it. Obviously has that handcuff with benefits upside now too. If something ever happened to Eckler, you'd be looking at a league winner. I mean, this offense was really humming today under Kellen Moore. So I think Josh Kelly is a huge priority add, especially if you don't need to use him right away. But honestly, I mean, again, 91 and a touchdown on the ground. That was a impressive day for him. Moving to the waiver wire receivers, I think Kendrick Bourne is my priority. Not him, Puka Nacua. Both these guys under 3% rostered. Bourne only 1%. 11 targets, 6 catches, 64, and 2 touchdowns for 21 points. Whew, that looks pretty damn good. And Puka Nacua, not to be outdone by him, 15 targets, as we talked about, looking like the clear-cut Cooper Kupp role here. With Cooper Kupp out, he was getting all those layup targets, but also involved in the red zone. A couple deep targets also slung his way. He ultimately went 10 for 119 as the main cog of this passing game. Everyone thought it would be Higbee, myself included, but no, Puka Nacua really coming in. We mentioned him as a Hail Mary dart throw. We actually mentioned both these guys, Kendrick Bourne and Puka Nacua. I'm shocked at how well they looked. I am definitely going to be scrambling to pick them up where I'm wide receiver needy and wherever I can find them. But not to be outdone. If you miss out on Puka, if he goes for too much, don't forget that Tutu Atwell did go 119 and 6. Honestly, I love Nacua, But if Cooper Kupp does come back healthy, let's say it's only 4 weeks on the IR, I think that role goes immediately to Cooper Kupp, and Nacua won't really find himself quite as heavily involved. So that's the one reason I might prioritize Bourne. I really like both those guys as options there at wide receiver on your waiver wire. The other guy is Rashid Shaheed, 15% rostered right now. As we mentioned, 5 catches for 89 and a touchdown, 11 yards rushing as well. He's kind of moving all over the place, an Alvin Kamara light in a way when he's out for now. Definitely a highly involved, explosive playmaker from last year. Averaged a ton of yards per reception and a high catch rate. You always like to see those efficient players, and he was continuing to do so this week. I will mention for one more running back too. Again, I prioritize the other guys in either Kyren Williams, then Josh Kelly, or your Ravens running backs. I think all of them make really interesting ads. All are worth about $15 to $20 or more from your waiver wire budget. I really like all those guys. But if you need a 1 week plug-in, you don't want to burn the bank completely, you could maybe look at Zach Moss, who's out this week, but probably going to play this next one coming in. And you couldn't have been less efficient than Deion Jackson, from 13 carries for 14 yards, 5 catches for 14 yards. It was absolutely abysmal and hideous. Zach Moss, not great himself, but he does get Houston. Could be a nice 1 week rental if you're desperate at running back, but definitely look at those other guys ahead of him. And then in tight end, the one guy that stood out to me was Logan Thomas, 2% rostered, 4 catches, team high, 7 targets, 43 yards. This is an offense under Eric Bieniemy that has historically used tight ends very well. We know Travis Kelce. This is not saying Logan Thomas didn't even sniff Travis Kelce's jockstrap, but that usage will continue to carry over in an Eric Bieniemy scheme. So good to see Logan Thomas so heavily involved, so healthy after missing the preseason. He was in there and he was ready to go. So intriguing there for sure. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments. Check out some more videos and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.